I used to grab whichever stir-fry sauce was on sale, pour it in, and call dinner done. Looked healthy, tasted fine. Then I started reading labels and realized I'd been pouring modified cornstarch and high fructose corn syrup over vegetables and calling it a clean meal. That's the trap most people fall into because these sauces are marketed around what they taste like, not what's in them. Today I'm going through 11 of them, 6 that are closer to candy than condiment, and 4 that are actually built from clean ingredients. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Number 1, Kikkoman Stir-Fry Sauce. First up, Kikkoman Stir-Fry Sauce. And look, Kikkoman is the name people trust because their regular soy sauce is genuinely good. Simple ingredients, real fermentation, nothing weird. So when you grab the stir-fry sauce from the same brand, you assume you're getting something built on that same foundation. You're not. Flip the bottle over and modified food starch shows up early in the ingredient list, which means that glossy coating on your vegetables isn't coming from any cooking process. It's a processed thickener designed to mimic what a properly reduced sauce looks like, without the reduction. The sugar situation is worse than you'd expect from something that looks savory. Corn syrup and added sugar work together to push the carb count up, and neither one is anything you'd cook with at home. Kikkoman's tamari is clean. This product is a completely different thing. Number 2, Lee Kum Kee Panda brand stir-fry sauce. Now Lee Kum Kee. This brand has a real reputation because their oyster sauce, their XO sauce, their fermented black bean paste, serious cooks actually reach for those. So the Panda brand stir-fry sauce gets to borrow all that credibility just by sharing the name. But this product is built for American grocery store shelves, not for the same kitchen that produced those specialty items. The sauce uses caramel color to get that dark, rich look, and caramel color isn't caramel. It's made by heating sugar compounds under pressure, and some forms of it contain a byproduct called 4-MEI that food safety researchers have flagged as a concern. The FDA calls current levels safe, but it's still a coloring agent that adds zero flavor and exists purely so the sauce looks more appealing in the bottle. Number 3, La Choy Teriyaki Stir-Fry Sauce. Next up, La Choy Teriyaki. This brand has been sitting in American pantries since the early 1900s, so for a lot of people it just feels like a kitchen staple, something familiar and safe. But flip that bottle over and sugar lands near the top of the ingredient list, which means by weight you're closer to a dessert topping than a savory sauce. Real teriyaki is soy sauce, mirin, sake, and just a little sugar to balance things out. In La Choy's version, that ratio is completely flipped, so the sweetness is doing all the heavy lifting and the soy is just there for color. There's also sodium benzoate in the formula, a preservative that extends shelf life by months. When sodium benzoate meets ascorbic acid, it can form benzene, a known carcinogen, and that alone tells you what kind of product you're actually dealing with. Number 4, House of Chong, classic stir-fry sauce. House of Chong calls itself a classic, and the packaging leans into that hard, traditional design cues, a name that sounds regional and specific. You'd assume classic means it's based on something real. Water and soy sauce open the ingredient list, which sounds fine, but by the 3rd and 4th ingredients, you're into modified cornstarch and sugar. Modified cornstarch isn't the cornstarch sitting in your kitchen cabinet. It's been chemically altered to stay thick when reheated, resist separation, and hold that glossy look for months on a shelf. That processing is what turns a simple ingredient into a food additive. Sesame oil shows up near the bottom of the list, and that's not an accident. It's a clean, recognizable ingredient placed there so the whole product feels more legitimate than it actually is. A few drops of sesame oil don't cancel out a base built on modified starch. Number 5, Soy Vey Very Very Teriyaki Sauce. Soy Vey has a cult following, and you can see why. The bottle has sesame seeds floating in it, garlic and ginger are in there, and food blogs have been recommending it since the 1980s as a go-to teriyaki. Looks almost homemade, but 2 tablespoons carry around 10 to 11 grams of sugar, which puts it in the same range as a small cookie. The sesame seeds are real, but they're sitting in a base of high fructose corn syrup and regular sugar working together, and that combination isn't random. Food makers blend two sweeteners because each one hits different taste receptors, so the sweetness lands harder and keeps you reaching for more. That's a formulation strategy, not a recipe. Number 6. P.F. Chang's Home Menu Teriyaki Sauce. P.F. Chang's home menu leans hard on the restaurant's reputation, and the packaging is designed to make you feel like you're getting the real thing at home. You're not. 2 tablespoons carry 12 or more grams of sugar, and the sweetener list runs both high fructose corn syrup and regular corn syrup. That's not an accident. FDA rules say ingredients must be listed by weight, so splitting one large sweetener into 2 slightly smaller ones pushes both lower on the label. The total sugar doesn't change, but the label looks cleaner than it actually is. And the thickening situation is 2 separate agents, xanthan gum and modified food starch, working together to fake the texture of a properly reduced sauce. Neither one adds any flavor. They just make processed ingredients look like careful cooking. Now the list shifts, and the difference is immediate. Number 1. Coconut Secret Coconut Aminos Teriyaki Sauce. Coconut Secret's Coconut Aminos Teriyaki has an ingredient list short enough to read before your pan even heats up. The base is coconut aminos, made from the fermented sap of coconut blossoms. That fermentation is what builds the savory, umami depth you're tasting, so there's no soy, no wheat, and no modified starch anywhere in the formula. The sweetener is coconut nectar, a single whole food source that carries a lower glycemic load than corn syrup, because it still contains some fiber and nutrients from the coconut palm. Coconut aminos are also naturally lower in sodium than soy sauce, so you get that salty, savory flavor without the blood pressure hit that stacked up across the previous 6 bottles. The texture you get in the pan comes from the natural thickness of coconut nectar, not a factory additive. Number 2. Primal Kitchen No Soy Teriyaki Sauce. Primal Kitchen built its whole brand on one idea. If you can't read the ingredient list, don't buy it. The no soy teriyaki follows through on that. The base is coconut aminos, same fermented foundation as Coconut Secret, but Primal Kitchen adds apple cider vinegar and pineapple juice concentrate. And that combination does something none of the previous 6 sauces could pull off with all their additives. You get sweet, sour, and savory hitting at the same time without any single one drowning the others out. Pineapple juice concentrate also contains bromelain, an enzyme that actually breaks down protein so it can tenderize meat slightly while it cooks. That's a real functional benefit, not a marketing claim. Number 3. Sanjay Tamari Soy Sauce. Sanjay Tamari is a different kind of entry on this clean list. It's not a pre-built stir-fry sauce with sweeteners and thickeners already locked in. It's a single fermented ingredient, and that's exactly why it belongs here. Tamari is the liquid that pools naturally during miso paste production, and Sanjay brews it through a real fermentation process that takes months. The result is deeper and less sharp than standard soy sauce, and it's naturally wheat-free without any reformulation. When you use tamari as your base, you control everything that goes in: your sweetener, your thickener, your aromatics, your sodium level. Sanjay also makes a reduced sodium version that cuts the salt while keeping the fermented flavor intact. And you can't do that with a pre-made sauce that already has its formula set. Number 4. Ocean's Halo Soy-Free Teriyaki Sauce. Ocean's Halo is the most unusual sauce on this list because it solves a problem none of the others even try to address. What do you use when you can't have soy or coconut? Most people just run out of options. Ocean's Halo doesn't. The base is seaweed broth, farmed from the ocean, and seaweed naturally contains glutamates, the same compounds that give fermented soy sauce its savory depth. So you get real umami without soy protein, without coconut, and without any of the top 8 allergens. Seaweed also carries iodine, magnesium, and trace minerals that don't show up in any other sauce on this list. When you're standing in the grocery aisle, flip the bottle over before it goes in your cart. If modified food starch or high fructose corn syrup lands in the first 5 ingredients, put it back on the shelf. And watch out for the organic label too, because organic doesn't mean low sugar. It just means the corn syrup came from a cleaner farm.